WonderBirds are supported by dogfriendly.co.uk, improving the lives of dogs and their owners.
Hello, girls. Happy Monday. It looks very bright where you are, darling.
I've just said happy Sunday because the sun is amazing here. It's so, I can't tell you, dark blue skies, sunshine. It's cold, but the sun, if you were trapped, like with a windbreak, the sun would burn you. It's that hot.
Oh my
How do we
goodness.
feel about that, girls, down in the south?
Not.
Raging?
I didn't hear that really.
I don't feel sorry for you at all.
It's hard to hear on Zoom, isn't it? Hard to hear. Yeah.
It is.
But what I wanted to say, I wanted to just say something about Prince Philip. And and there's been so many wonderful tributes. But one thing that happened this morning when I was listening to an interview, which struck me, is that somebody said that he always said he was a better grandfather than he was a father. And that's exactly what my dad used to say. My dad used to say he was too young to be a father. He didn't really necessarily want children at that time. And he didn't know how to behave. He didn't do anything with us, And then when my daughter arrived, he was her nanny for 8 years. He lived with us and he cared for her. And he said, I'm the best father that I could have been.
Moving.
And Prince Philip obviously said the same thing, which is what happens to men, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think
it has been fascinating.
Quite hard, like it is with motherhood. And then suddenly, years later, they go, oh, that's what I should have been doing when I was a dad.
It has been wonderful hearing all the different things that he's done, because a lot of it we weren't aware of. The foundations he set up, all the charities, all the stuff he's done, wildlife.
I was going to say, actually, that I was fascinated to hear about Gordonstoun because, Prince Charles always said that it was like Colditz, but he thrived. Yeah. He thrived there and apparently was a bit of a superstar. And people in different classes used to come and ask him for his autograph. So, and he apparently was, and he was actually royalty anyway, but he used to sign it as Duke of something else. I mean, it was hilarious, but he just had a brilliant time. So you could see why he actually sent Prince Charles there, but Prince Charles was a different person to him.
Yeah.
So, it was fascinating.
And now Prince Charles becomes the Duke of Edinburgh.
Does he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He takes the title.
Yes.
Strange, isn't it, how they swap their titles around?
Yeah. Really amazing. Yeah.
Could
But
we
anyway,
swap our
the
titles?
other big news is
Sherry,
that,
Sherry, could we swap our titles around, please?
What, Dame Sherry?
The other big news, of course, is April the 12th.
Yes, we can go out. I'm going to the pub tonight.
Yep, hairdressers.
I'm going to the pub with my woolly, my Uggs on, my big coat, my big hat, and my gloves. I don't know why, but I'm going to.
Why not?
Why not, darling? Fabulous.
Yeah, it is strange. I mean, I don't know. Does it mean the shops are open now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, the shop's open today, so I know we haven't been out yet to the shops yet, but we shall. All non-essential, whatever that means. Who knows? Who knows?
But anyway, one of the most important things that's happened today, the zoos opened today for the first time.
Wow.
And I can't imagine why they haven't been open, but anyway, let's not get into
that. And the animals have been missing people so much, haven't they?
Well, and also, they've had to feed them and care for them, and with, no money coming in. So thank God for the zoos today.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But anyway, back to today. So I've got one of my gorgeous friends coming in, and I know you all love her, and she's done so much in her life, and she deserves every happiness. It's the wonderful Maggie Oliver. Where are you, Mags? There she is.
Oh, hello, darling. Welcome back.
Hi, ladies, you too. I'm absolutely fabulous. Thank you very much.
Well, we know that.
We do.
But I want to know what's been happening, because your foundation, everything that you do, I want to know, in the time since we saw you, have things changed? Has it got better? Do you feel as though things are progressing, or do you feel as though it's still standing still?
You know what, Sherry? There's not very many good things I could say about COVID, but for the foundation, it's absolutely been the making of us. I think we were going down the wrong path too early.
Right.
Because if you remember, before COVID invaded the world, I'd started a pilot centre in Rochdale for survivors.
Yeah.
And I think, and we'd been open about 6 weeks and COVID came and we had to close. And I went into a very, very dark place, because all this work and all this energy, and we were helping girls in the centre. But with the step back, I think what I realised was that we were doing things the wrong way round, because child abuse and grooming and all kinds of child sexual abuse isn't just in Rochdale, it's all over the country. In fact, it's all over the world. What that step back made us do was like refocus. And so we went down a road to launch what we've called Pain into Power phone support service. So I think what we did, we got foundations very firmly in place. So we've built our own CRM. I had I've got about 35 volunteers now who work in the foundation.
Wow.
Whereas before we had maybe 2. We built our own CRM so we can gather all the information that the government and the authorities are not gathering about the background of the perpetrators, about how the abuse happens. And at the end of January, we announced that our phone support service is there, and it's different from other services, Sherry, in that, say somebody rings the Samaritans, they will get they'll get a different person every time they call. And what survivors were telling us was that is counterproductive, because they go over and over the same story with every new person. So what a survivor does who wants help, so whether that's because they want to seek legal help, whether they feel very much on their own, whether they don't know where to turn, whether the authorities are not listening to them, they will self-refer through the website, so the Maggie Oliver Foundation website, and then we will match them up with one of our trained, empathetic, experienced support ambassadors, and then they will pick up that conversation, and they can have as many conversations as they like. And the feedback, Sherry, has just been phenomenal. It's absolutely, it really is phenomenal. And I think if we hadn't had COVID, I don't know where we would have been now, to be honest, because I feel that we're really going in the right direction. And in May, we're starting for our first 8 survivors, we are putting them through a group therapy course, which is like gold dust. You can't get that on the NHS. We are working with Operation Hydrant, which is the national lead for child abuse in the country. We're challenging police forces who are failing victims still. So it's been a phenomenal amount of work. I've been working like 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, but we have made massive strides. And just yesterday, we have appointed our first employee. So we're going in the right direction. A long way to go, but I feel that we are making a difference, and I feel that we're keeping the spotlight on the failures of the authorities, which are still pretty monumental.
Which is why I wanted to ask you, Maggie, about the men are now free, they're out of prison and they're wandering around still, and the girls see them. So how do you feel about that, and what's happening about that? Because they were supposed to be deported, weren't they?
Yeah, I mean, the whole process makes my blood boil, to be honest, Debbie. It just makes my blood boil, because remember, I know these girls. Yeah, I know them personally. They are like my children, and I speak to them perhaps not as much as I used to 10 years ago, but they've been in my life for 10 years now. So when I get young Ruby, who's in her 20s now, from Ruby in the drama, You know, she's walking around Asda and walks around the end of an aisle and bumps slap bang into the man who got her pregnant when she was 13. You know, he was out of prison within just over 2 years. He wasn't charged with rape. Probation hadn't even been in touch with her to say that he was being considered for parole. What? She didn't know he was out. And the first thing she knows is when she comes slap bang face to face with him. Now, for me, it makes me so angry. And you know, it's just, that is not justice, and it is not right. And I wish I didn't have to keep on saying the same thing again and again. But if I don't, who is going to? So last week was just wall-to-wall interviews, because the media picks it up and then drops it again. And, you know, but I think that the public and the country now see that the failures in the system, and that is not right. And, you know, they lost their appeal, that they appealed the judge's direction that they would be deported when they came out of prison. You know, Ralph, who was out and about last week in Rochdale, was in all the papers. I mean, he's been out of prison now since 2014. He was in prison for 2 years. You know, these men have abused dozens, if not hundreds of kids. So first of all, for me, the charges were insufficient. Secondly, the sentences were insufficient. Thirdly, they got out of prison too soon. Fourthly, they've had millions of pounds in legal aid. And after all that, they lost their appeal. And in 2018, it was decided that they were going to be deported. 3 years later, they are still in this country, and the authorities will not speak about it. They hide it. And
Maggie, why won't they?
I just think that they believe that they can keep the cat in the bag and pretend everything is great, but it isn't. It just isn't.
But how? I mean, how could you? I don't understand. When somebody's supposed to be deported, aren't they deported? You know, you hear of children who've lived here all their lives being put on a plane and deported to another country. So these men who are criminals, and they're still living, and they're at large. They're not even trying to keep in a place that no one can see them.
No, but I mean, what I would say though is that you know, we've had COVID, and that, I think, has exposed massive problems with our health service. You know, it has shown how broken really the NHS was. Yeah. And I think that this case very clearly shows how broken the criminal justice system is. These are not isolated cases. The difference, I think, with Rochdale is because, you know, I spoke out about it very vocally, and then I worked on 3 Girls for 4 years, and then the whole country saw it. So there is kind of a continuum there, and the public see the human consequences of these failures. But if you go to anywhere in the country, and the foundation now, we support survivors all around the country, and these are not isolated cases. This is what is going on in many places all the time. The only problem is that the public don't know about it, because the authorities would rather that it's kept secret, because it exposes where all these failures are. But when you get judges coming out now and barristers saying, you know, you can't get justice unless you've got a lot of money, that the you know, the justice system now is crumbled. You know, you legal aid is, I mean, those men have had millions in legal aid fighting.
Why though? I don't get it.
I'm on your page, Sherry. It's wrong, but it's the truth. Yeah. Whereas the kids themselves, we're 10 years on, and I'm still fighting with them for accountability. They've still got a court case going on, and yet for them to get legal aid, it's like going with a little begging bowl. You know, it goes on and on and on. It's just
a travesty. It's an absolute travesty.
It really is.
It really is. And we need to address it as a country. And, you know, all I can do really is share the knowledge that I have. And part of the work of the foundation, half is to help survivors, but the other half is to advocate for them and to expose those failures and to share the facts. And I don't know any other way. You know, I've had conversations with the Home Secretary, I was on Sajid Javid's commission, and all these little bits, I think, start to very slowly chip away at these horrors, really. But it's pretty bleak for the victims. You know, they still do come bottom of the pile. the way I see it, they are always an afterthought. And
it's very interesting because they are women. It's prejudiced against women because it's men that have come out on top and women again.
Yeah, I mean, it's very much of the moment, isn't it? You know, with Sarah Everard and all the violence against women and, you know, misogynistic attitudes, which still exist in the authorities, in the police, in the criminal justice system. There is still victim blaming. There is still an attitude that if you swear and you wear a short skirt and you've had a drink, you're asking for it. You know, we've still got an uphill struggle. We really have.
It is extraordinary, and I think what your foundation is doing is the beginning of that change. And the fact that you support the whole of Great Britain, and it isn't just isolated, is so important to get that message out there, because it's the ignorance and the arrogance that, oh, it's all fine. It isn't. And your voice is so important. I wanted to ask you, in this crazy lockdown, and it's been so moving to hear everything that you've been doing, has there been an upside for you that is about something that has come to you with the space that we have, although you've been working 12 hours a day, 7 days a week? What's the upside for you? What has happened for you that's given you a different feeling?
I think through a lot of the lockdown, I went into a very, very dark place. And I think a lot of people have. You know, I felt like I was reliving The Handmaid's Tale at one point. I was in the middle of Gilead. And actually, you know, it does feel like that. But I think it has made me, not that I really, work has got me through, because I have absolutely thrown myself into the foundation 100%. But I think what it's done, it's made me appreciate even more my kids. I love my kids. I love my grandchildren. I love my girlfriends. I love my life. I love to travel. And that's, you know, the travel bit was taken away. But I think it has made me realise that we have to grab life when it's there. You know, it's not a rehearsal. And, you know, as we speak now, I mean, I managed to escape quite legally, quite legitimately a month ago from the UK. And I've got a little apartment in Gran Canaria. And I had a
we're not jealous or bitter at all.
Or anything.
But isn't that's just to hear you say you've been reevaluating what's important is so moving and fantastic.
Yeah, I think.
And now you've escaped to Gran Canaria.
Well, I look at people, you know, I look at the UK, and last year, I don't think anybody really understood COVID. But for me, I mean, I know that there is a wide spectrum of opinions about COVID, and I'm not denying that it is a horrible illness and that people can die from it. But bear in mind, I lost my husband when he was in his 40s from cancer. Life, you know, we all die at some point, but, you know, we have to learn to live with it, in my opinion. And we've done a fantastic job in the UK with the vaccination. But I've come to Gran Canaria and they haven't got the vaccination here yet. And yet the shops have been open, the bars are open, you have to wear a mask, you have to have 4 on a table, the hairdressers are open. In England, we have got a vaccination. We have rolled it out to all the vulnerable. We have to learn to live with it. And I listen to the media and it's all doom and gloom. And if some, you know, people are in very, very low places. You know, they've lost their homes and their mental health and their livelihoods. And I think we just need to, you know, learn to live with it and start, you know, the thought of no flights until nearly July, when we've had 1 death this weekend, it just makes no logical
I agree with you completely.
I think we all have to really use our voices and say that, because otherwise we're going to be trapped in a world that hasn't got any joy in it. And life should give us, you know, a purpose. We should have joy. We should enjoy the little things. And now I don't want to be trapped in 4 walls living on my own. I want to be out and about and, you know, so that's kind of where I
agree with you completely.
Maggie, I've got to tell you, you are looking so glamorous and gorgeous. So you're doing something right, aren't you? I mean, I know you're working 12 hours a day and doing everything, but what's your secret? So what are you doing I mean, what really makes you tick at the moment? What are you doing? Like, you going out?
Since I got here, I mean, getting through Manchester Airport, and the woman at the British Airways desk was like the Gestapo. She was not going to let me out, and I had to get the manager to come and say, look, I've got my deeds for my property, I've got to go for this. Anyway, they let me fly. But as soon as I arrived here, I mean, I've got a personal trainer here 3 times a week. It's fabulous.
Wow.
You know, I can go and sit and have a coffee and just people watch, and I'm just loving I just feel I've got my life back. I just feel,
That's
I'm
working.
But
it's how you feel. Yeah, it's how you feel.
It's the little things. It's the tiny things in life, you know, having a drink with a friend, or, you know, having a wander. I went and had a wander around the shops yesterday on my own, but I loved it, you know, and it's not, it doesn't cost any money. It's just the sunshine and looking at the foundation, looking at the work that we're doing, looking at the difference that we're making. And in between that work, even here, I'm sort of talking to you now on Zoom. Everything's online. So I can be sat here or sat, you know, in my own front room. So I think it's about appreciating the little things, and
it is,
and creating the life that you want when we're allowed. But we have to find a way to wriggle through those obstacles. I see them.
I agree. And you love your apartment there, don't you, Maggie?
I do now, but you know, Norman died 15 years ago now, and we had just bought. Norman and I came here when we were in our early 20s, just the two of us. We weren't married. We had no kids, and we actually lived on a campsite in a tent for 6 months here. And then and from here we did like a road trip on a big converted bus all around Morocco. So it's been a magical place for me all my life. And then once we got 3 kids and 4, we couldn't afford the flights, so we stopped coming. Then for my 40th birthday we came back, and we started to come again. And 3 months before he was diagnosed terminally ill, we kind of achieved our lifetime dream, and we took some money out of our house in the UK, and we bought this little place, intending to kind of retire. And then 3 months later he was diagnosed terminally ill, and we came a lot in those 2.5 years. But then when he died, it was just too raw, and I'd come here and I'd think about what, you know, like our hopes and dreams. And this is the first time that I feel the same as before he died. And I really think I'll spend more time here moving forward now. I love the sunshine, and I like the sea, and I like just like walking around and seeing people. It just feels, I'm a sunshine person. The only reason really my base is England is because of my kids, and that'll never be different.
Yeah, of course. And if you're moving forward, Maggie, does that mean maybe love might be on the horizon?
Oof. Well, you never know. Every girl needs a little bit of livening up sometimes, don't we? and you know what? In England now, it's really weird, but in England now, I'm always a bit nervous if somebody does. Well, it's very rare because we can't speak, you know, with a mask on. It's very difficult. But in England now, I never really know whether someone's talking to me because they know of my work, of what I've done, or whereas here, you know, obviously there's a lot of English here who know me, but the Spanish don't. So a whole new audience.
We're on.
That's exciting.
I'm on the way. I'm your new best friend.
Yes, well, it's just, you know, it's just living life really, and just taking. I think sometimes you have to take a chance. But as regards, you know, falling in love and getting married, I'll never do that again.
Falling in love, you might.
Yeah, I'd love to. I'd love to have somebody that was on my wavelength, that, you know, weekends away, a bit of a holiday.
That's it, isn't it? A friend that you can do all that with, and who also sleep with. I think that's everybody's ideal, isn't it? Just you don't have to make any, you don't have to dress companion yourself.
Yeah.
But that companionship is so important.
Yes.
You know, you look after yourselves, you take care of yourselves. There aren't that many older men who are like that, and the ones that are want to be with a much younger woman. So I think we're you know,
I like to go for a younger one, Max.
Yeah, we don't listen. Max, we don't want the older men, because the older men droop in terrible places. I can't,
Darling, like we don't.
The thought
Like
of
we
that
don't,
makes
sweetheart.
me feel all weird.
Darling, we droop. I'm tripping over my tits, dear, if I take my bra off. We all
You've
droop.
always done that, Harry.
Yes.
No, I haven't.
Maggie,
you having little ones.
Maggie, you sound in a very, very good place to me.
I feel that way.
Yeah.
I feel really positive about the foundation. I feel that we've grown such a lot. I mean, we've helped over 2,000 survivors in the past couple of years. But now, whereas I felt very much it was all down to me, I've got 35 fantastic volunteer ambassadors. I've got, we've just taken on, as I say, our first paid member of staff. I've got a fantastic right-hand man called Rick, he's an ex-police officer. He is amazing. Shaz, who is a volunteer, but she is just such a spectacular, beautiful person. And we're a really, really good team. We're doing a big fundraising ball at the end of the year. We're doing a sponsored walk. I do weekly meetings with everybody, and we do a newsletter, and we've got a cut, but it's all done on the cheap. The public have got us to here, you know, and we get fantastic support from the public, but every penny goes towards helping survivors. And, you know, I think...
Well, if the WonderBirds can be of any help to Maggie and your foundation, we are here.
We are there, darling.
It's also amazing that without
party at the end of the year.
We will do everything possible. You know, I will as well. You know that.
Well, you'd be very welcome to come, and it's at the hotel football. But I'm going to do a flyer in that 3-course meal, but it'll be.
Maggie, what's extraordinary is you saying that without the pandemic, you've rebooted your foundation, which is so fascinating.
Yeah.
So with the pandemic, it gave you the option of choice, and without it, it wouldn't have been the same, which is a wonderful positive note for this bizarre time.
We wouldn't be here either.
Exactly.
No, and that's the truth.
So many.
No, and we can, you know, I mean, we're kind of with technology. I mean, I do prefer people. I'd rather be sitting with you now, having a glass of wine and having an apple. I prefer it, but I do think that Zooms and technology has opened up a whole new world that we probably wouldn't have explored. So we can be kind of internet nomads, can't we? Now I can do what I'm doing wherever.
But Maggie, I have to tell you, we've just booked our flights to Gran Canaria. Is that all right?
I'll be at the airport to pick you up.
Thank you.
I'm gonna have to get in my bed with me, and the other two will have to go on the sofa bed.
No problem.
Whatever.
We won't go to bed anyway.
Maggie, thank you so much for coming to this. Please come again soon. Or actually, we're going to come see you first.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very, very welcome anytime.
Thank you, darling.
Thank you, Maggie.
Oh, lovely to talk. Bye, girl. Bye-bye.
So there is good that's come out of this mad time, isn't it amazing?
Yes. For a lot of people, actually, yes.
Yeah.
But she's right. It has to end now. We have to live with this now, and we have to get back out into the world.
The good news is, Sherry, the hairdressers are open.
Yes. And I'm off there soon.
The hairdresser, so I have the minute this show is finished, I am zooming off to a late night appointment with the hairdressers, and then I'm going to the pub. I mean, this girl has got it.
Couldn't be better.
I realised I haven't booked anything, and I probably won't get a haircut probably till next January, because everyone's going to be booked up.
It's like 3-4 months away. The waiting list, it's except Andrew Barton, of course, who might say, well, we'll know because he'll be here on Wednesday.
Yes,
he will.
Jerry, he could give us a virtual hairdo.
Yes, there you go.
No, I don't want virtual.
Tell us how to do it.
I don't want any more virtual. I want real life.
No, I want nothing virtual. I want hands on now.
And Julie Peasgood is back as well. on Wednesday. And I think she's going to be talking, I think she might be talking about baking as well, because I think she's been baking during lockdown. So she's been baking. You and her, Harriet, have got a lot to
you
talk
and
about.
her and Harriet will be
lovely. I'm interested in that.
Baking away.
Yes, and then we can just go off and have another. Actually, we can leave. We don't have to.
Yeah, we can leave. Leave them to it.
Yeah, leave her to it.
Yeah.
Okay,
guys.
Bye.
See you Wednesday.
See you Wednesday.
Bye.